Jay Howell. I'm the Assistant Vice President of Information Technology, so I'm in charge of the Information Technology Department. I was looking to move closer to my parents and saw Chowan had a job advertised, and it was for a network administrator, and I came and applied. Then I got this job, and instead of traveling all over Eastern North Carolina, I actually went to and from my mom's house every day, and I was able to help her right until she passed later on, so it actually worked out really well. We've actually had a couple of things that are really under the covers. People wouldn't know about it, but we went to what's called a distributive architecture, in which we had dual areas in which data could go around the network. That stopped us from having a single point of failure, and that was really huge. And connecting all the buildings together, because the buildings, obviously you've got to have that network access now to do what we do in 2023. And that was actually a big deal. You know, it had been started right before I was hired, and then every building we brought online since then, probably 10 or 15 buildings, we obviously had to connect with fiber. So they were the big ones. I could even add, when we made everything on campus wireless, was a huge thing, because that was where we could see the world going. And it's actually, you know, our kids are used to that. I mean, wireless is now just like when you and I were in school with sewer and water. It's just a utility that people expect. Actually, the person I was hired by was Dr. Andrea Eason, and she had been after me from day one about getting my 4-year degree, because I had a 2-year degree at the time. And it was one of those days and one of those things in which you just went, why not? And so I decided to do a business degree with a emphasis in information systems, which, you know, matched what I was doing. And in the course of going to school, I would say probably Dorothy Wallace was one of the big ones. She was a very difficult teacher. I'll tell you a funny story. I used the resume that I used to get the job at Chowan, changed it to meet what I thought Mrs. Wallace wanted for her class, and got a B- on the project. So that tells you a little bit of what type of standard she held you to. And probably Dr. Andrea Eason also was a big, you know, she's the one that taught me into it, and she taught some of the computer courses at the time. And she was a big deal. But I really enjoyed, believe it or not, the religion course with Dr. Frank Lowe. You know, one of the things about going to college is you get out of your comfort zone a little bit, and that was not something that I would normally be looking at, and I really enjoyed that when I went through that. Another kid that I stay in contact, and you probably know this, is Russell Dudley. And Russell would have been a marginal student at any college. Russell owns several businesses in Durham now. He's a very successful person. Probably would not have the opportunity to do some of that if it hadn't been for Chowan. And Chowan actually took a kid that was extremely rough around the edges and turned him into a productive citizen. And that's been probably the best thing. You know, I'm 62 years old now. A lot of these kids I probably wouldn't have talked to if I saw them on the side of the street, if I hadn't been working in higher education. And one of the things I learned was you do not judge a book by its cover. These kids are awesome. All they need is a chance. And we've turned a lot of kids out of here that would not have been as successful and would not have been as productive members of society if they hadn't had Chowan as an option. I care passionately about what happens at Chowan and how Chowan does, whether it's successful or not. So when you're like that, when somebody asks you to do something that's not in your wheelhouse, you step up and you say, yeah, I'll help you out, whatever you need. Maintenance says, hey, I need help doing this. Yeah, I'll help you out. So what has happened is I've come from being an employee to being a stakeholder. Is that a good way of putting it, I guess? Because I have a vested interest in Chowan and how she does going forward.